We really vetted it, and, you know, have we checked out, I guess, exactly how it's worked in other communities? We know there's probably a ton of good things. What are some of the bad things that have happened in cities? Because we should know both sides. So I'm just a little.
Sure, and I'm sure Matt can talk about how his outreach to the community, but I can also tell you that every city that he is in, it's very positive. You open the Walla Suites, when you pull into Walla, you know the Suites is their hometown. Victoria was a huge success. Their last home game had 5,000 people at their game. I have not heard anything negative. I have talked to the city of Bellingham, obviously Victoria. They're all city-owned fields. They all think it's wonderful. I've heard nothing negative.
Susie, if the visit to Victoria for me was all about trying to understand better how the community, the connection between community, City of Victoria and the Victorian Hardcats. They have made, the way I look at it is, if we're going to be successful, Matt first things out of my mouth when we first met was that I want this to be a team of excellence. I said that, didn't I? And so it's imperative that if Dean and Matt are going to have a successful franchise here, it has to involve us. It's their team, but it's our community. It's our team. And what I witnessed in Victoria, I know Nathan and Corey can provide this, that the Victoria Harbor Cats are well liked by the community. Preceding the game that we attended, how many were there? Maybe close to 200 out in the infield doing yoga before the game. The next day,
and then a dance party broke out. And they couldn't come off the field.
The next day, the association was a park in the park, which started in the major leagues. I wasn't sure which franchise it was, but
It was the Reds.
Philadelphia?
Cincinnati.
So Victoria Harbor Cats had a bark in the park, which meant that fans could bring their dogs to the ballpark. Now, I don't know what they did, but they walked the dogs around from home to third or first, I don't know exactly. But it's clear that in Victoria, is Mary Sue still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
How did you put it, Mary Sue? Weave in the community? If Matt and Dean, and I have confidence they will very much intend to do it, and I met with Mayor Helps in Victoria when we were there, and she loves the team over there. She's very competitive, I am too. This is going to be interesting. But it's weaving the community. I think may have been quoted in the paper, and I'll say it again. I want us to change the culture of this community, where we can have fun together at a ball game. Just like we had fun together last night and yesterday afternoon down at the Gateway Center. That was a fun night. And it wasn't just because we didn't have fireworks out in the neighborhoods. It's because people came together as a community. And I have every reason to believe, to everyone here, that Dean and Matt are desirous of us doing the same thing. And one of the ways we weave a community together is through a fun, winning baseball team with fine young men who are headed to the major leagues. And we get a chance to see them for a bit of time in their life. That's way cool.
And I think that's great, and I totally support this thing. Like I said, I just have just a couple of concerns because, you know, this is the first time we've seen this contract. We've not seen this contract before. And I'm afraid I don't know that much about facility uses between softball teams or baseball teams and us. So
I have shared with them some numbers and information from other teams, and the vast majority of the teams in West Coast League are very successful, and they're tied into their communities. we, ran the contracts by the West Coast League, and it wasn't, many changes they made financially, anything like that, it was more partnership, speak that they wanted to put in, that made sure that we could work together and help grow together. A lot of the things that the West Coast League put in, we were competitive as these guys got to see as ownership on the field, but as a group, the West Coast League moves together and we help each other quite often. And in this case, we've had a tremendous amount of help from Victoria and from John Stanton's group, from the Pacific Sports Ventures that owns obviously the Mariners and the Rangers and the Small Wall Suites and Yakima. We want that kind of relationship, and because even though Kids have a much larger metro area, we're actually dealing with a much smaller community because the whole metro area has a lot of things to do, like the Mariners and the Rangers, and so we're really dealing with a really small area there. This is more of a market that's been the primary successful kind of market for the West Coast League. So when we started to talk about here, immediately the people that are in the successful market started to help us. So we are coming into this with a lot of help.
No, and I'm grateful for that. Like I said, what I want to know is that within our community, we've taken into account, okay, so after every game, who's gonna clean up, and do we have the staff, and is it gonna be a burden on our staff, and the maintenance in the field, I know, is part of the things. I mean, like I said, I was just reading this contract, I'm like, well, I'm not sure, there's concessions, so is a percentage of the concessions coming or not coming?
I can speak to that a little bit, Sissy. So, first thing we did is we wanted to recoup our costs, so the cost associated with the per diem cost is staff time, utilities, things of that nature, so it covers that. We get off the field about 3:30, the field is theirs. They're gonna help us with maintenance, they're gonna be in charge of all concessions, cleanup, use of the facility, locker rooms, stuff like that. So it's a partnership. Matt's group, his coaches are they play in baseball fields all the time, so they know how to take care of them as well. So it's gonna definitely be a partnership, and that's why we made it a 3-year contract, so that, after 3 years, we can really look at it, digest it, and say, okay, what do we need to change? Because most of the contracts with the West Coast League are about 5 years. And when I compared them with the Bellingham Bells, what the city does from there, our contracts are almost identical.
Okay, and are there any, that's good to hear, since, like I said, this to me is just, you know, this is the first one I've ever seen. So I'm glad to know that they're similar to Bellingham, and are there any other cities that?
I had a nice conversation with